everyone, it's Meg. We're in the middle of editing Gaze, which we will be able to share with you all very, very soon, which is very, very exciting. But whilst that is editing, and my laptop is currently charging, I thought I would come and give you some top tips, or like my favourite top tips, for if you're wanting to make a film or anything like that. So, where to begin? First off, if you're feeling stressed about like filming, that is okay. I want to validate those feelings from the get-go. It's so stressful, it's such a stressful thing, especially when you've got like 1,000,001 ideas. Like, sometimes you'll have a beginning and not a middle, sometimes you'll have an end and nothing else, sometimes you'll have the middle and nothing else, or like maybe like you've got like sort of an idea but you're not too sure if it could build into an idea and it's just really confusing. Write them all down. That is my first tip. Write them down, okay? Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter where. I have written ideas on receipts. My notes app on my phone is like filled. It's, oh my god, like insane. Well, I'll just show you my notes anyway, because I've got 1,000,001, so I have no idea where that one is. Anyway, write them all down. It doesn't matter again when or how you write them down. I've had it so that it's like middle of the night, woke up, had this such an intense dream, and I'm like, that could be something. So into my notes app it goes. Also, you can feel really stupid writing certain things down. So I've had ideas where I've been like, oh my god, man gets hit. With what? Also, not a great idea. At the same time, it could become a great idea. So I'm like, I'll write that down anyway. So yeah, that is my first tip, is write everything down. It doesn't matter how stupid it feels, it doesn't matter how like shit, good, anything. An idea is an idea, so make sure you write that down. My second point, which kind of comes from like this idea, is like, do your research. I know, everyone's like, make sure you watch films, like learn from the greats, learn from the experts, blah blah blah. It's not even learning from them, well I guess you are learning, it's like learning what you like. Like, that is so important, is knowing what you want in a film. So for example, I'm not a big fan of wide shots, but just because the films I've made, it doesn't fit in. Or like, where I live, the filming locations, they're not the most aesthetically pleasing for a wide shot, so I won't include them. I know that personally I'm a big fan of like close-ups and extreme close-ups and like shots that kind of like are a bit too close that they're uncomfortable, because for the films that I've made, that is the thing that I needed. And that's like the message I wanted to bring across. However, if I was doing something like where it was about like a landscape, wide shots would be the one for me. You know, don't underestimate the importance of it, of like doing like your research, of watching, because you get to know like what kind of like movements actors do that might elevate a shot and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna include that. It's just a really good learning curve. My third point kind of comes from watching. It's chemistry. So chemistry is so important. It's so important, okay? So important. But also not just chemistry between like two people who are meant to be in love, right? That's great if you get that. But friendship chemistry, okay? Friendship chemistry is so important, because I've seen like so many films where it's like two characters are meant to be best friends, and it just like, it feels like they're acting, number one, and also like there's no way that would be like a real interaction, okay? I'm not gonna walk up to someone and go, oh my god, hey sis, did you hear what happened the other week at the lake? It was crazy. I mean, I would probably say like, hey sis, but like I would be like, oh my god, girl, fucking hell, did you hear? Like, where's the chemistry? Like, don't just read it. And that leads to my next top tip for when you're directing. Don't micromanage your actors, okay? Don't micromanage. You really just have to let them feel their roles, like, and feel their characters and be their characters. And like, if you're going, okay, but I want you to say it in this exact tone, this exact way, at this exact speed, you're gonna get that really like plate-like feel, like it's just not gonna feel real, like, you're just not gonna feel anything, because there's not gonna be any emotion, there's not gonna be any connection to the character, it's just gonna be, So I think that's a big one. So for example, I direct my films. I will say to every single one of my actors, I'm like, okay, the script, foundation for what I want. If you go off script, as long as it's not too wild, I don't really mind, because I'm like, sometimes I'll write something that's, I would say, but like for someone else they're like, that's really unnatural coming out of my mouth, can I change the word order, or can I add this word in, or can I take this word out? Sister, go for it, okay? I don't mind, that is fine. Let me check, let me consult my notes app where all my notes are, because I actually wrote all these ideas down. Oh, okay, this is a good one, actually. When you're choosing a film topic, again, with the ideas, it can feel really overwhelming, because sometimes you get all these ideas and you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to differentiate. That's fine, okay? My one thing, especially when you're starting out with film, is keep the topic simple. It's so easy to think, oh, but I've got this amazing narrative and I'm gonna do this, all these amazing things, and just, oh my god, I'm gonna like reach for the stars. Reach for the stars indeed. Do that, babes. I love the ambition. At the same time, film, you have to be very realistic about what you can and can't do. And when you're an amateur and when you're starting out, it can be really like defeating not being able to do all those really ambitious things. So when you've got a really ambitious narrative, it can like, you can feel really shit about yourself and about the film, because you're like, oh, like actually this isn't turning out how I wanted it to. It's actually a lot harder than I thought and I don't know what I'm doing. And that's completely okay. Like, that's okay to feel that way, but definitely if you start with a simple narrative, you can complicate other things. You can make the film stunningly beautiful with cinematography, with sound, with like acting, with different things. But if you've got that like quite baseline narrative that's still interesting, like you can't forget, like complicated doesn't equal interesting. That's one thing. Complicated doesn't equal interesting, right? But if you've got like a really interesting but simple narrative, like you can explore different things and you can like complicate other shots and you can make it stunningly beautiful with that. With that, one thing that comes in for the editing side of everything, and when you're like filming and when you're deciding on shots and stuff, is why are you choosing the shot? I learned this in first year. I was like, so I study film. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna choose the shot because it's pretty. How I bit my tongue and wheeled that one back. I can't even remember who said it and it's really frustrating me. I think it could be like a Hitchcock kind of thing. I don't know. But basically, they said, why are you including, like, if you're cutting to another shot in a scene, why are you doing it? And I was like, why wouldn't they? But actually, when I'm editing, I'm like, oh, okay, this is really true. So, for example, in the film I'm editing right now, we got some unbelievably beautiful shots. And I know that sounds cocky, but they fucking are, okay? Sorry for my language, but they are, okay? They're gorgeous. Some of them don't fit. And it's so frustrating, because I'm like, oh my god, they're gorgeous. And they don't fit. But at the same time, they don't fit because like, the cut is just there because the shot looks pretty. It doesn't add anything to the narrative, it doesn't add anything to the story, it doesn't make the characters look better, it doesn't do anything for the plot. It's just there. And like, I think that can sometimes be like such a weird, like, a weird thing. When you're watching a film and everything really, really flows and then all of a sudden, boom, it's really, like, I feel like it pulls you out of the story as a spectator, like, and I think when you're making a film, that's what you want. You want people to go into this universe with you. You want people to go into the film with you. So then if you're adding a shot in there that, like, doesn't really have a place, but it just looks pretty, it's gonna rip them straight out. Another thing is, when you're on set, just, like, make sure that there's a good vibe. I know that that's kind of a given. Filming is so stressful. It's really stressful, but when you're an amateur and when you're first starting out, you won't have a lot of money for it. You won't have like amazing technology. Shit might go wrong. I have had that happen so many times. Stuff has gone awfully wrong. We turned up for an 8-hour shoot day. Our sound didn't work. Some of the lighting wasn't working. Our camera stopped working. Like, we couldn't get the focus to work on it at all. Disastrous. Disastrous. Not the vibe, okay? At the same time, as stressful as that was, I was like, let's keep the vibes going, okay? Let's, like, you know, keep it all up. Because there's nothing worse than grumpy people. And, like, certain times, like, so by the time we'd finished shooting that week, all of us were tired. All of us were very drained. It was cold. I think it was January, so it was this time last year. It's freezing cold. So if people were a bit more grumpy or a bit more moody, that would have been understandable and fine. But the thing was, I think everyone knew that, like, we were doing this for free. We're not getting paid. We're doing this out of like our own time, our own energy, stuff like that. We all had stuff going on, but because we love it and because we like find it fun, that was enough for everyone to be like, okay, let's keep the vibes going, let's keep it up. And you know what, that really was important for me then, and it's still important for me now. If you're like a director or if you're any behind the scenes, like, just check in with each other. It doesn't actually matter what role you're in, just check in, okay? It takes 2 seconds to be like, hey, like, is this comfortable for you? Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to make it better? And I think as well, like, not to toot my own horn, but completely toot my own horn, is like, I think that's one of the reasons like people want to work with me again. I know that sounds cocky, okay? And I really hope that's the case. But because like, if you make a comfortable environment, people are gonna wanna come back. People are gonna wanna come back, okay? Honestly, just believe in yourself. Like, I think that's one of the big things is like, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to other people who are just starting out and think, oh my god, but they're so much better than I am. Says who? First off. But also like, that's okay. People are in different stages, like you're learning. And like, this is the one thing, like, you might film something and it be awful. And also that's okay. Like, it's okay, because first off, you've learned, you've probably had a really good experience, like, everything's a learning curve. That's something you have to kind of like learn to take in your stride. And also like, you have to learn with that is like, things are gonna go wrong. Your film probably won't look like how it's initially like thought of in your head. Yeah, like, things are gonna go wrong, you have to expect that. And you have to expect things aren't gonna look as good as you first expected, but like, that doesn't mean it's bad. Just like really believe in yourself and like throw yourself out there. That's just what's going to push everything forward. That's what's going to make you a better filmmaker. That's what's going to make people want to work with you. Like, if you have the passion, if you have the drive for it, people are going to flock to you. And like, you're going to make something good because you're passionate about it. Keep the passion up, bitches. Sorry. Anyway, have a great day. All the love.